In today's video, our family of 5 moves into an RV for a week to explore the beautiful states of Washington and Oregon. It was quite the adventure with so many breathtaking views and so many wonderful memories. I'll be sharing our 7-day trip and also sharing a glimpse into what life was like living on the road in the RV. So I hope that you enjoyed this video.
Oh, it's a little tiny one.
So yesterday we flew from Tucson, Arizona all the way to Seattle, Washington, and here the next day we are finally in our camper off on our adventure. It was a little bit of a process yesterday. We were supposed to pick up the camper before 5 p.m. and our flight was a little bit late. We had to wait an hour for our luggage, and so all of that combined, we just didn't make it to the Cruise America place before it closed. So we had to get a hotel. And now this morning at 8:30, we were able to pick up the RV and we are off on our adventure. We're currently in line for the Washington ferry because we're trying to get over to Olympic National Park, and it saves you about an hour of driving if you get on the Washington ferry and take it across the Sound. While we're just sitting here waiting for the ferry, I thought I might as well do a little bit of cleaning, finish putting away our groceries. Right after we picked up this RV, we did stop at Walmart and just stocked up on everything that we would need, groceries, towels. So I just need to finish putting some of that away, and I also just want to wipe off all of the surfaces. Moving and heading towards the ferry. The first stop is the ticket booth, and then the ferry is just right down there. So the total cost to take a RV on the ferry is $30.85. She charged us for the vehicle and then just one adult. So I'm not sure how much time it actually saved us to take the ferry because we waited in line at the ticket booth for about 40 minutes, but it was definitely worth the wait because we had never ridden on a ferry before, so it was just a really neat experience. We have now entered Olympic National Park, and if you visit Washington, don't miss Olympic National Park. It is just breathtaking. There's so much to see in this park. We didn't even see it all, and we were here for a couple of days. Our first stop was Madison Falls, and this was a really easy hike to this beautiful waterfall. Before we left on this trip, I did purchase the America the Beautiful Pass, so that's an annual pass to all of the national parks and federal recreational lands, and that did save us quite a bit of money. The pass was $80, and we would have spent about $130 in park fees on this trip if we didn't have the pass. It also makes it really easy when you pull up to a park. You just have to hand them your annual pass and your license. So the pass has already paid for itself, and now we can continue to use it for the next 11 months. And this is the Salmon Cascades. Unfortunately, no salmon, but it was still a really beautiful waterfall to see. And then we found this peaceful campground by the river to park for the night. It was a great first camping spot on our trip. Good morning, everyone. So it is day 3 now. Last night we camped by a river. It was a really awesome spot to camp. The boys played in the river until dark, and we had a good night's rest. We were up this morning and on our way to Cape Flattery. Really beautiful drive up here along the coast, and I stopped and got a mocha latte at a little espresso place. Really delicious, and now we just made it to Cape Flattery. This is about a 3/4 of a mile hike out to the Cape. We just parked, and just a heads up, if you're coming to the Cape Flattery area, you do have to have a Maca Tribe pass. So we just stopped and got that. It was $20, and after Cape Flattery, we're going to continue down the coast. Cape Flattery was breathtaking. The camera just doesn't do it justice. We could have stood there for hours just watching and taking in that beautiful view. It is definitely a must-see. And now this beach that you're seeing here is one of the La Push beaches. So there's 3 different La Push beaches. We went to the first beach and the second beach. These are beautiful beaches, but the beaches get better the further you go down the coast, especially once you get to Oregon. And I was also showing you here the map that we had of Olympic National Park. Make sure that you get a map each time that you enter a park, because you will lose phone service quite often. We lost phone service for over half of this trip, and so the map was very helpful during those times. So we just arrived to our campsite for the night. We are still in Olympic National Park, but we are currently in the Hoh Rainforest area. So right where we're parked, we're actually right along the Hoh River. I can't believe that I found this spot. It's all thanks to the Dirt app. We got a free 60-day trial of the pro membership of the Dirt app because we rented through Cruise America, and I was able to find this little camping area. There was a spot available right here along the Hoh River. There's nobody else around. It's really quiet and peaceful, and it's a great spot to camp for the night. We were hoping to hike the Hoh Rainforest this afternoon, but it just got a little bit too late, so we decided to at least drive to the Hoh Rainforest area, camp here for the night, and then tomorrow morning, first thing, we will hike the Hoh Rainforest and then start making our way down towards the coast of Oregon. I've been spending the last 20 minutes cleaning up the camper, just getting it reset, sweeping the floor, cleaning off the counter and everything, just getting it ready for tonight and a new day tomorrow. The boys are currently out fishing in the river, so I'm gonna head out there and hang out with them, walk around, maybe wade in the river for a little bit and just relax for the rest of the evening. But first, I do want to give you a quick tour of the camper, show you what it looks like inside and how we have it set up. So I'm going to give you a tour of our little home for the week. So this is the standard RV from Cruise America, and right when you walk up to the steps straight ahead is the table with the 2 chairs. I think this does also fold out into a bed, but we don't need it, so we just leave it as a table the whole time. And this is where the boys sit when we're driving. They can buckle in on either side and play Legos. They've got the iPads, so they just keep their backpacks and their jackets right here. And then to the right of the door is this chair where we have Levi's car seat. So this is where he is chilling while we're driving. And then I have my backpack and Jalen's backpack. And here's the front of the vehicle with the driver and passenger seat. Up above that is Kyle and Owen's area. So this is where they hang out and sleep at night. They've got their pillows and blankets stacked up over there in the corner. So at nighttime, we pull both of these curtains closed. So they've got their own little sleeping area up there. And then these 2 curtains also pull across just for privacy from those front windows. So that's where the boys are at night. And then down here on the floor, we set up Levi's pack and play. It fits perfectly right here, and they all slept great right here last night, so that was awesome. There's 2 storage cabinets up here, and then over above the table, there's 2 more storage cabinets. And here's a look at this side of the RV. So this is the little kitchen area. We've got a stove right here, and this glass top goes down over the top so that you can use all of this as countertop when you're prepping food. And then when you want to cook, you just lift this up and you've got a 3-burner cooktop. I've got all of these cabinets full of food, paper products, garbage bags, all of the things that we'll need this week. And then there is drawers over here as well, but I don't have anything in there. We've got a round sink right here. I need to wash the dishes, but I just have one pan that I've been using for anything that we want to cook. I store some of our items on the back of the countertop. These cups aren't here when we're driving, but everything else is, and it doesn't usually move. We do have a microwave. We haven't used this yet, but I might end up using that tonight. On the right side, we've got a freezer and a refrigerator. The refrigerator is pretty full. Always open that door cautiously in case anything falls out. These little drawers have been handy for all of the little stuff. I've got some wash rags and towels, the sound machine that we set out at nighttime. In the second drawer, I've got some camera items. We keep Levi's pack and play in this cabinet and just get that out at nighttime right before we go to bed. And this is Jalen and I's bed. Last night was the first night that we slept in the camper, and this bed was super comfy. We've got a really soft blanket that helped keep us warm. We've got some little reading lights above the pillows and then some small cabinets up top as well. And it's nice that they do have this thick blackout curtain that goes all the way across. So at nighttime we can pull that closed and just kind of have our own little room back here. And then the last area is the shower and the toilet. It's a pretty small room, but it's really nice to have a shower and a toilet when you're camping, and hooks for towels over on this wall. And that is the tour of our little home on wheels. We've been loving it so far. It's really cozy in here. There's just enough space for the 5 of us, and it's been super fun. When you can camp right beside a river like this in the middle of the forest, it's so quiet out here and it's just amazing. It's the next morning and it was a beautiful morning at that campsite. Best way to start the morning, splashing your face with cold river water. Very refreshing. And now we are headed off to the Hoh Rainforest. We're starting off our morning on the Hall of Mosses Trail here in the Hoh Rainforest. We're still in the Olympic National Park. And this was kind of our last stop for this national park before we move on to the next location. It's very cold this morning, but this is such a beautiful hike. Would definitely recommend if you come to the Olympic National Park. We have now entered the state of Oregon, and our first stop was Cannon Beach, which has been on my bucket list for years. So it was pretty surreal to walk up over the little hill and see it down below in the distance, and to see the infamous Haystack Rock looming here on the beach. It is beautiful, huge, and breathtaking. We arrived here right before sunset, which I feel like was the perfect time. The lighting was beautiful. It was pretty chilly, but it was just a beautiful time of the day to visit this beach. It was also low tide, so the rocks were covered in clams and starfish. Really neat to see all of that sea life. Good morning from Cannon Beach. Last night we slept in this cute little town of Cannon Beach at the Cannon Beach RV Resort. It was a really nice RV resort. It was super full. We got like one of the last spots available, but we found it through the Dirt app. This morning before we head out, we stopped at the Bald Eagle Coffee Shop, a really cute little coffee shop here on Main Street. It's a foggy, chilly morning here, and we're just loving every minute of it. Really enjoying this cooler weather and just exploring new places. Today we're going to continue on down the coast of Oregon and hopefully see a few more beaches. I've got quite a long list of places to stop, so it should be a fun full day. Wow, that's cool. It was still low tide, so we were able to explore quite a bit of Hug Point, and then we continued on down the Oregon coast, and we have now arrived to the Tillamook area and the Tillamook Creamery, which is a really neat stop. So much to see here. We got some free cheese samples. We also tried the cheese curds, which were delicious. And then of course we couldn't leave without some ice cream. I got the coffee almond fudge, which probably had to be the best ice cream that I've ever had. I need to see if they have that in stores. And then we arrived to this really neat outlook area. I'll try to find the name of it and put it up here on the screen. But there were so many whales out in the water. We probably saw about 3 or 4 whales in the water. It was an amazing experience, definitely the highlight of the trip. And this was our first time seeing whales in real life, so it's definitely something that we'll all never forget. We drove into this area, parked, and then walked up to the lighthouse. It's a really beautiful view out to the ocean. And then there also was a lot of seals in the water that we were watching, and also a couple more whales as well. And then we grabbed some fish and chips for supper, got it as takeout, and took it down to Seal Rock Beach, which is a really pretty area. There was a lot of seals out on the rocks, just laying on the rocks, and then there was some swimming around in the water as well. It was very cold, but a beautiful spot to watch the sunset that evening. So after that, we thought that we had found a place to park the RV for the night, and it didn't work out. That RV park was full. We thought that we could park at another park area, but you were not allowed to park at those areas, and we were just having a really hard time finding a spot to park the RV. It didn't help that it was the weekend. It was Saturday night, so we drove back into the town of Newport, and we saw some RVs parked on the edge of the Fred Meyer parking lot. So we called Fred Meyer and asked if you could park an RV in their parking lot overnight, and they said yes, as long as you park along the outer edge. It was after dark at this point, and we were exhausted, so we parked, went to sleep. There was a lot of traffic noise that night, and then at 6 a.m. the next morning we got woken up by the street sweeper going back and forth right beside our RV. So we just left for the day, got an early start, and headed more towards the middle of Oregon. We had some state parks we wanted to visit, some waterfalls, and this was a really beautiful drive. After the Trail of 10 Falls, we took the scenic route around Mount Hood, which was amazing to see. We didn't do any hiking at Mount Hood, we just drove around it and then parked in the parking lot, got out to take some pictures, and then continued on to the largest waterfall in Oregon. But right before you get to that larger waterfall, there is a few smaller waterfalls to see, like this one here, the Horsetail Falls, and then there was one more after this. We found a parking spot and were able to see these two waterfalls. But then when we continued down to that largest waterfall, there was two small parking lots and they were completely full. Nowhere to park the RV, so we just drove slowly past the waterfalls, got to at least see it, and then we continued on to our camping spot. Good morning, everyone. So I thought I'd just show you a quick glimpse at our morning routine that we've kind of developed here in the RV. So now we're all dressed, we've all had breakfast, and we've kind of done a quick cleanup. I swept the floor and we're getting ready to pull out. I think we're going to head up to Mount Rainier this morning. It's really chilly and cloudy and windy, so hoping that the clouds clear off a little bit and we get some sunshine. But last night we found this great little camping spot here by this lake. We weren't sure if we were going to be able to find a spot to camp, but thankfully we did end up finding this spot. The boys did a little bit of fishing in the lake and it was just a great spot to sleep last night. We just stopped for our daily coffee and we've lost count at this point how many coffee shops we've tried. We drive past so many cute little coffee shops. They're just all over Oregon and Washington, and of course we got to try them. I think the best coffee that we've had so far was the Bald Eagle coffee in Cannon Beach.
That was good.
Okay, so the plan for this day, this was Monday morning, was to head up to Mount Rainier, but our maps took us on this road way up in the mountains. We basically got lost in the middle of the mountains. It was the middle of nowhere, no phone service, so we couldn't reset the map to see where we were going and if there was a different route. And we got about halfway and it said the road was closed ahead, so we basically had to backtrack back to the main road. It was a really beautiful drive though, but by the time we got back to the main road, we just didn't want to drive 3 more hours to Mount Rainier because we wouldn't really have enough time to do any hiking, and the boys had a fishing trip booked for the next morning at Cape Disappointment. So we just decided, let's head on over to Cape Disappointment. It was like 1:30 in the afternoon at this point. We'll head on over to Cape Disappointment and just have a slow evening, do a little hike, get our camping spot for the night, and then get up early the next morning for that fishing trip. Early the next morning, we got up and headed down to the docks so that Jalen and Kyle could get on the boat to go out and do some sea fishing. But they came back an hour and a half later and said that the captain had to cancel the fishing trip because they were out there on the water for about an hour and the waves were just way too high. It was getting really dangerous, so they just had to cancel it, which was really disappointing, but it worked out in the end because now we had time to head over to Mount Rainier. And after seeing Mount Rainier, we are so glad that we did not miss it. It is a breathtaking park. You have to visit this area if you come to Washington. We were in awe the entire time, but it was freezing, so at the end of the hike, we got some hot chocolate to warm up. was really cloudy, so we couldn't actually see Mount Rainier, but then just as we were leaving, driving down the road, we looked over to the right through the trees, and the clouds were parting back just enough for us to be able to see Mount Rainier, and we were right at a pull-off spot, so we were able to pull off and just sit there and watch the clouds part and actually get to see Mount Rainier, and it was breathtaking. It brought tears to my eyes watching it, just thankful that we got to see it. God's creation is so beautiful, and we were in awe of it on this entire trip. That night at our camping spot, we prepped the RV to return it to Cruise America the next morning. Jalen was working on the outside of the RV, filling up the water, emptying sewage, and I was starting to get everything packed up. And now the next morning, we drove through the rain to Seattle to drop off the camper and then took an Uber to the airport. Today's video was a little bit different than my normal videos, but it's fun to switch it up, and hopefully you enjoyed coming along on this trip with us through Washington and Oregon and getting to see what life was like living in that RV. Thank you so much for watching and for your support, and I'll see you next week on Tuesday with a new video. Bye. Say cheese. Cheese.
Where's your hat? Good job.